Hey there, everyone. My name is Griffin Pontius. I am the co-founder and COO here at Popover.
My name is Chris Porter. I'm the CEO and founder of Popover, a platform that allows college students to take control of their schedules and do chores and tasks for community members.
Yeah, so in creating Popover, it really came to be because of a problem that Chris and I experienced while we were in college, which was the fact that we didn't have schedules that were conducive to a part-time job. And so within that, all the work that we had to do, we did by engaging in our local community through odd jobs. And what we found were two major takeaways. One, that there are students all over the world that don't have time to work a part-time job that's 3 days a week, 4 to 6 hours a day. And two, that if people in their community could outsource their job or their chores and tasks to people that they could trust for cheap, that they would do it. So cue Popover. It's a platform that allows you to contract college students to do tasks and other chores at the touch of a button. And using it as a consumer is just that easy. By sharing your location and selecting the individual tasks that you'd like done, that request is then sent into our matchmaking system for a student to pick it up.
And from the student side, it's just as simple. Simply open up the application and go to the worker dashboard. Choose a couple tasks that you'd like to do, whether it be walking someone's dog, taking out their trash, or watering their plants on a hot day, and identifying a gap in your schedule, maybe 60 minutes between lectures or 90 minutes before coffee with the professor, moving the slider accordingly and going online. After that, the matchmaking system will take care of the rest as customers input requests for tasks to be completed. The Popover platform provides solutions to three key problems. First, it allows members of the community to save time by outsourcing chores and tasks they may not have time to take care of.
Second, it allows college students to get consistent pay while retaining complete control over their schedule.
And third, it allows community members to feel comfortable hiring local college students at the touch of a button. By hiring a local college student, you're sort of leveraging this intrinsic layer of accountability and trust we have in local college students.
In looking at the revenue model of Popover, there is a $5 flat fee for any service contracted, and then a $2.50 fee for every 15 minutes of task time thereafter. Popover will take an additional 15% service charge off the top, which equates to about $1.57 per task, with an average task costing around $10.50.
So, in lieu of the grand prize of this competition, $5,000, we really wanted to highlight how far that money can take Popover. So one of the highlights for us is product outreach, hiring a brand ambassador for the summer with a small stipend to help recruit other students to come work on the platform. Thankfully, we're also students at the University of Puget Sound and have a lot of connections in the network. Additionally, paying for web hosting. We're running the back end of our application through Amazon Web Services. This includes a database as well as our matchmaking algorithm. We also plan to embark on a $1,700 digital and social media campaign to target the geographic area around the University of Puget Sound. By leveraging the tools and the advertising tools that LinkedIn, Snapchat, Facebook, and Instagram provide, we can target a specific zip code or a geographical radius from our central hub, the University of Puget Sound.
And by targeting the University of Puget Sound within a 1 mile radius, we can actually access over 28,000 members of the community. And with that, we hope to see 600 tasks in our pipeline at $1.57 of revenue for Popover. That equates to about $14,000 in the first 6 months. But much more importantly to that, it actually creates over $95,000 worth of new economic opportunity for students within a 1 mile radius of their school community.
And so, taking a look at our growth beyond the University of Puget Sound community, we would really like to use Tacoma as the hub of our operations. We're run by a team of 5 UPS students, and we have one of the trustees at UPS on our advisory board. And so staying local is incredibly important to us. We love the area. So we're targeting 9 additional universities over the next 3 years, ranging from TCC and UW Tacoma down here in the City of Destiny, up to UW Seattle, up in Seattle, and then out east to Gonzaga and Eastern Washington in Spokane. By targeting these 10 universities, we anticipate getting over 500,000 tasks through the popover pipeline in the next 3 years, which equates to about $850,000 in revenue for us.
So we at Popover are aiming to put money back into the pocket of college students and lower the cost to the gig economy. We'd love Tacoma to serve as the nucleus for our entire operation, and we hope that it starts with you guys. Thanks so much, and we'd like to open it up for questions.
I have kind of a banker question for you. Do you guys have any liability for the college students?
So, great question. I love answering this one. We use a similar sort of employment model as Uber and TaskRabbit and Rover, where every student that's working is an independent contractor. So they are liable for all the damages they do. They're not working in any, we're not facilitating any ultra hazardous conditions for them to work in. That being said, we will have general liability insurance as well as E&O insurance.
Can you talk a little bit more about your competition? Because there is other competition out there, but how do you see yourself being differentiated from it, and what built-in benefits might you have that they might not?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so the one specifically that comes forth to us is the most similar is called TaskRabbit, right? However, TaskRabbit, you don't really know who's coming to your house within that, right? And so with our business model, it's still on, okay. We make sure that we limit our employee base specifically to college students, and what that means is that we actually have a point of connection within their community, so we can kind of hold that employee more accountable than we could per se with TaskRabbit. And then within that, since they're a college student within your community, most people that live in those communities close to universities have some sort of tie and connection. And so by limiting the employee base to just college students, you're able to capitalize on the fundamental layer of intrinsic trust that people associate with them.
Is there going to be some sort of rating for users versus, and I don't know what you're calling them, but basically customers versus people who are filling those jobs?
Yeah, oh, another question I love talking about. So similar to Uber, there are rating systems on both sides. If a consumer or customer, whatever the word we land on, has a student come work for them, you can give them a rating after the task is over. If you rate them, say, a 1 out of 5, we'll make sure that that student never comes to work for you again. But if you're rating them higher, they may be hired again. But over time, let's say I've mowed 50 lawns or I've walked 250 dogs over the course of a year, we have an average rating that allows us to better matchmake through our matchmaking algorithm to find the best student to do a job. Conversely, on the sort of the consumer side, if a consumer is constantly hiring people to do, say, a 15-minute task, or they're incredibly rude to a student, the student is given the opportunity to rate that sort of employer, and then if their rating is low enough as an aggregate, then they won't be able to use the platform anymore.
How is the payments? You were paying through a credit card, through your app, or who's getting paid? Are you guys paying, then you're paying the students?
So yeah, the platform automatically facilitates the use of Apple Pay, Venmo, and PayPal, as well as inputting a debit card, which facilitates automatic payment to the person. So we don't necessarily have to have a ton of cash on hand to be able to pay people, because people are paying up front and then cash is distributed after.
So right now you guys are actively doing this? Are you guys bringing revenue in right now? Is it still in testing phase?
We are in pre-revenue. We have a team of, 4 developers in total, and we're planning to launch our sort of soft rollout on the 1st of July.
So if I'm looking at your financial projection right, basically you're planning on about $15 an hour would be the cost that a customer would pay out, and what the person working would receive is about $10.50 an hour, is that right?
Yes, and the train of thought within that is really that a core pillar to Popover is getting college kids paid. And so we wanted it to be competitive with an hour of work, right? And so within that, if we have a Popover employee that gets contracted to do an hour of work, they can expect to make about 25% more than minimum wage. So just barely more than that, but yeah, that's kind of the train of thought behind that.
So that would really be they would make 15 hours for that work with $5 base plus $2.50 for 4 sets of 15 minutes. And then we charge an additional 15% on top of that, and that's our revenue. So the consumer ends up paying, it'd be I think $16.57 for that hour of work. Or I guess probably close to like $17 because it's 15% of.
So no one's paying taxes.
So taxes are paid to the consumer, similar to Uber, right as you pay for a task to be done. And then student workers can have a 1099 automatically filled out based on their work history if they've made over $600 using the application during the fiscal year.
Do the students have a buy-in at all? Do they have to pay to be involved with this service and everything?
They have to pay to go to college. That's kind of the main thing. Is we really wanted to use the .edu address as a limiting factor for our employee base, because by extension that means that those students that have acquired a .edu address have been background checked by the university.
Do you limit how much time a student can be on there? Say they're doing the equivalent of a full-time job. Will you?
So currently it's limited about 3 hours on the app, but yeah.
I just realized I was scrolling through. Tell me a little bit about your marketing plan.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that. So one of the great perks of being just now graduated seniors from the University of Puget Sound is that we know so many people in the community. So we've actually, over the last couple months, talked to a couple dozen professors as well as a couple dozen students that are ready to start using the app as soon as we go live. So we've started to cultivate a mailing list, and so they're basically ready to receive a download code once we do our beta. But in terms of actually marketing to the community, because we're targeting a very specific geographic region around the university, we can leverage the advertising tools that the main social media platforms provide. We can also distribute posters in the region for low cost, as well as table at, say, local community centers such as churches. Thank you so much for having us.